What do you make of the conversation and where we are as a country right now?
Well, I'm so impressed with our federal workforce. You know, they are trying to work in these awful environments since January. As Jenna said, we've seen the Project 2025 playbook every single day going into place, and a big part of that is to fire many people in the federal workforce, and they're trying to use this now as a Trojan horse, or maybe it's a Trumpian horse, in order to try to claim this is the reason. But you know, for a state worker who's got to live through this, not sure about their job certainty, looking for words as opposed to solving, you know, curing diseases, that's not what we're supposed to be doing at the federal government. And this is all Donald Trump, Russ vote, and Project 2025. It's nothing that people are asking for in my district. In fact, it's quite the opposite of what people are asking for. But federal employees like Jenna and so many others are going to be hurt, and many people will eventually realize that these federal services matter, and we're fighting, quite honestly, on the issue of health care, because in the big ugly law, 15 million people may lose health care, but also all of us will have increased rates, and that's what this fight's really about.
Congressman, what is the real sticking point in the negotiations? Do you see this being a few more days, or do you see this as a long, protracted, drawn-out battle? What are you bracing yourself for and your constituents?
So I've been through a few of these. I first came into office in 2013. I don't know. Donald Trump, I never tried to predict anything with the Trump administration. But what I do know is, again, this is a great excuse for them to try to continue doing what they've already been doing. They had let 7,000 people go already in Social Security, right? And now we're watching all the other things that they're going to continue to do. So I know Mike Johnson didn't call us back into session this week. We're supposed to be. So, you know, every time I look at this, Mike Johnson doesn't have us voting. Third week of vacation for people in the House. Donald Trump is posting cartoon memes. They don't seem to be taking this especially seriously, and yet, obviously, for Jenna and others, and for the people who rely on federal services, this is a very serious subject.
Give us a sense of how this breaks in terms of who makes a move. I mean, obviously, if we're basically to believe that the Trump administration is not serious, out there posting memes and saying they're having fun, or you can poke fun at your political enemies, as J.D. Vance said, or your opponents, I should say, while this shutdown and people lose their jobs like Jenna. How do you see any one of these two sides taking a step forward to resolve this?
Well, this is about health care. Because of the big ugly law, there's a $500 billion cut to Medicare that rarely gets talked about. That's going to affect every single person. With the cuts to people on Medicaid that happen after next year's elections, but more importantly, right now, the losing of the tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, 22 million people are going to see their health insurance affected, but we're all going to see increased rates out of this. For people on the Affordable Care Act, I'm told by the Kaiser Foundation in my district, a 60-year-old couple making $85,000 a year will see a $16,000 increase in their health care next year because of what the Republicans did. So this is a fight for Medicare. This is a fight for Medicaid. This is a fight for the tax credits for people. And this is a fight against rising rates for every single one of us. So Democrats are solid. This is a fight worth having. And I'm just so impressed that the federal employees like Jenna get this as well. They know what's happening, and they're standing with the American people to make sure that we don't have these problems in healthcare.
Congressman, I want to switch gears a little bit and ask you about something of concern to many Americans, rising authoritarianism and the president signing an executive order that for some people has gone a little bit under the radar, although I know you've spoken out about this, that targets anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, and other ideologies. How significant is that executive order in your view? What does it mean for us?
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm watching a movie by George Orwell as I see this signed into action. This is up to them how they interpret what anti-American is, what anti-Christianity is, what anti-capitalist is. And it's all in this guise of going after Antifa, which is nothing. There's no organization called Antifa. But this is part of the talking points that the Republicans have to try to take away our free speech rights and other rights that we've seen in some American cities. But now they're going to go after groups based on these loose definitions that Donald Trump himself decides. So Jared Huffman from California, Pramila Jayapal from Washington, and myself just Friday started circulating a letter among members of Congress. We're trying to put a stop to this, figuring out other other ways to try to, but this is something that people, it's not on their radar screen. Donald Trump throws a lot of spaghetti on the wall, and this piece hasn't been noticed, and we really got to make sure people understand that their rights and freedoms are at risk if we don't have more people know what he signed into law. I think it's called NSPM 7. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
No, you're exactly right. And I don't think enough people have talked about it on air, in the paper, and I hope more people do.
Congressman, thank you so much for giving us this update and for being with us tonight.